Happy fall, everyone, and welcome to the CT Support Group podcast. I'm your host, Quinn, and I'm the peer support specialist for Turning Point CT. As y'all might know, October is ADHD Awareness Month, and I, for one, am aware that I have ADHD. For our show today, I am joined by a very special guest to talk about our journeys with ADHD, late diagnosis, and some tools for managing symptoms. This is part one of a two-part show, so tune in next week to learn more about some of the tools that we use and to hear about our guest's mental health advocacy work. Today, I'm joined by Emily Stainton, a mental health advocate and registered behavior technician, in addition to a NAMI affiliate here in Connecticut, to talk about living with ADHD. Emily, hi, welcome.
Hello, Quinn. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Yes, I'm so glad we were able to make this happen.
Definitely. It's been a long month of planning for us.
Yes. So I like to start conversations with a check-in question, if you're open to that.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to ask you, what are some songs that you've had on repeat lately?
Some songs I've had on repeat would be any genre of EDM. When I get in like a focus mode for some reason when I'm studying, I like to just jam out and just do the head rock and stim and get my stim out and just headbang. And if I like one specific EDM, it will just play on repeat. And I think that's very neurodivergent of us to repeat it.
It's also really cool to listen to like EDM specifically with like headphones on, so you can hear like the different sides. Like, it's very satisfying.
Oh yeah, has to be noise canceling for sure.
Yes. So today we're here to talk about ADHD because it is ADHD Awareness Month. So I would love if you could tell me a little bit about your journey with ADHD, with diagnosis, and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. So my journey with ADHD it's a 1.5 year long journey so far of my exposure to it. I was misdiagnosed. So I'm just coming to terms with it. I'm just coming to realizing what my triggers are with it. I'm just learning what it is that was troubling me for so long. Growing up in school, I was always a pleasure to have in class, but talks too much or just constantly fidgeting and moving around and not poor in math and reading skills and just really struggling with school. My focus was not there. And it just went completely oversight. It wasn't really tended to in an accommodation of any kind. And up until 1.5 years ago, I finally came to terms with, well, maybe it is a misdiagnosis. Maybe my psychiatrist has been right. And now I'm accepting it. I've gone through a lot of medication changes and still working through like the old diagnosis. But yeah, about 5 years ago, my psychiatrist mentioned it. She's like, I don't think you have bipolar. I think you have ADHD. And I said, nope, we're not doing that. I'm not coming off my lithium. I'm not coming off anything. We're not changing anything because everything seemed to me working and I was tolerating it and I was dealing with it and just brushing things under the rug and not really processing any of my emotions because I was on lithium for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely coming to terms with what it means to have ADHD. So whatever your diagnosis is, it's not who you are. It's a part of you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of like your diagnosis, it seems like that came late.
Very late.
Yeah.
Very late. Yeah. At 16, it was bipolar. And I had maybe what they called episodes of depression and things like that. But also what the things I was depressed by was a very typical 16-year-old.
Right.
There was nothing. I went into the psychiatrist's office. They write off 30 minutes. Yep, you have bipolar. And then we went with it. My doctor, my mom and dad and myself, we didn't question it. We just said, okay. Never went for a second opinion, nothing. We just rolled with it. And was rolling with it until I realized, I don't know if this is working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like after having a diagnosis and being like, I'm not really sure that I want to open up, that can of worms. Like, I don't want to go back and see, like, is there maybe something else there? Like, that's definitely got to be tough. And I can definitely relate to the late diagnosis piece of it. Um, 'Cause I had a similar journey where it was like pleasure to have in class. I wasn't someone who like really fidgeted or talked too much and didn't really deal with much of that hyperactivity. Um, but the focus was a problem for me. I swung between struggling to focus and hyper focus and was hardly ever able to find that happy medium. Like, okay, yeah, I can focus. And if I need to task switch, should be all good. Um, but yeah, I can imagine, like, it's
You
gotta be
When were you
tough.
late diagnosed?
I was 26. I was 26 years old, had finished 6 grueling years of undergraduate
Ooh.
and got my degree, and, um, then, over the course of the pandemic was realizing, like, I really struggle with focus, and I know I don't really present typically, quote unquote, because I don't think there's any typical presentation of any diagnosis. Um,
It's all circumstantial to everyone for
right.
sure.
Yeah, but it definitely went under the radar for a long time, and I think mine was really chalked up to anxiety. Your kid hyper focuses because they have anxiety, and that actually ended up not really being the case. Anxiety was a piece of it, but there was something else going on
Yeah.
that I really wasn't aware of.
The anxiety was the symptom of it, probably letting
Yeah.
your body know, like, "Hey, something's wrong."
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I wanted to ask, because this was something that I experienced too, in terms of late diagnosis. Was there did you experience like any grief over that? Was there like a journey? Because that was something that I thought about a lot in the process.
Yes, and I still am grieving it.
Yeah.
There's days where I'm really sad about it because I can't go back to, like, my old coping, quote unquote, coping strategies,
Hmm.
because that was my life for 10 years. And there was grief. And then there was also shame for me because I started advocating in 2014,
Hmm.
and I was set solid that I have bipolar. I even was like published in an ebook for the Mighty, and I shared my story about being diagnosed bipolar. And I was very vocal about it because I know how important it was to break that stigma and share my story. So I shared it. And then 10 years later, it changed. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. I've been telling people this and that. And are they going to believe me now? Like, what's going to happen now? So it was a little bit of shame. And yeah, every day it's like, am I angry today? Which stage of grief am I in today? Is it
Yeah.
anger? Is it sadness? Or is it just like euphoria? Because I'm like, oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm happy now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to that. I think for me, a lot of the grief was looking back and realizing that I actually didn't have to struggle as much as I did. That there were things that could have helped me, including but not limited to certain kinds of therapy and other like tools and coping skills and medication that I didn't have access to and didn't know that I needed as resources
yeah.
because I didn't know that this is what I was struggling with. And I didn't really notice it, until after I had gotten the diagnosis and started researching and trying to figure out, okay, where do I go from here, and what are some things that can help me? That was like, wow, like I really, really was in a situation where like some of the things that I was struggling with like had such simple solutions,
Yeah.
but it was not even it never even occurred to me that those things were options. And I think like taking the last couple of years to kind of look back and be like, okay, yeah, I mean, that was sad. And, I'm here. I have the things that I need
Yeah.
now. And, trying to balance that grief with that gratitude of like,
Ugh.
I'm grateful that I know what's going on. And I'm sad that it took so long.
Yes, I have that every day for sure, for
Wow.
sure. So when you said you were going through your undergrad when you were getting your diagnosis, did you ever get accommodations?
Mm-mm.
No. So
No.
you graduated. Good for you. That's awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's-
it.
and you did it. You did it. You pushed through, and here you are. You have a whole degree now.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm doing my bachelor's degree right now. This is the home stretch. I'm doing all my major coursework. My estimated graduation date is November of next year.
Nice.
But I didn't get accommodations until 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And now the anger comes for a lot of my academic stuff because I'm like, what if I had these accommodations when I was in elementary school? Like, where would I be now? Where would I be with academics? And would I have struggled so much in school if I didn't have it? But then reminding ourselves that the what if is never going to help us.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I definitely, like, I look back and I'm like, I really didn't struggle with the actual content or, of my courses, but struggling with like time management
Ugh.
and focus and task switching and experiencing like some time blindness, like that, that all could have been avoided.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like there's part of me that looks back and I'm like, okay, well, I can be proud of myself and be like, wow, like, you did it, without having any of those accommodations. And I try to lean into that feeling a little bit. But some days it's hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard.
It definitely is hard. Oh, man.
So I also wanted to ask about, you're talking a little bit about accommodations and I've talked a little bit about like medication and stuff, but are there like systems and or tools that you use that you found like to be really helpful in like, I don't want to say managing ADHD symptoms because they're not always something to be managed, like, but in helping you feel like you're being productive in ways that like actually feel good to you.
Yeah. So I finally found a therapist who I really have built a rapport with, and we have a good relationship so far, and we have that connection, that professional connection. And she gave me a strategy, and um, I was I cried because she mailed it to my house. She mailed me a little letter, and I'll write it down on this napkin for you because I didn't end up bringing the journals with me, but we had she made a list and she said, "Here's what's going to help you for your time management," because that was the hardest part for me, is managing your time blindness,
Hmm.
and listing it out to be your top 3 most critical tasks that you want to get done for the day. And then the next part was going to be things that you would be nice. It would be nice to complete it, but maybe you might not get to it. If you get your top 3 most critical, maybe the rest of the day, if you have enough time, you can accomplish these 3 tasks. And then at the end, she gave me unlikely, but we'll try.
Hmm.
And it was the last 3 things that, yeah, they're really, this is like a multi-step thing. It could be taking, like, your laundry takes maybe two business days to complete.
Yes.
So maybe you'll leave that on the unlikely, but you'll get to it. So whatever you don't finish on this day, you do it again that you didn't complete on the next day. So that's the whole layout of, I actually started publishing a journal for this, and it's a self-help journal, and I structured it to have 18 weeks, and there's no dates on it, because when I was buying planners, when I was buying journals and all these things, anything that had a date on it, if I skipped that day, I was so mad at myself, and I would
Yes.
beat myself up because I didn't complete it. So finding a journal that I could, you know, if I'm in the routine, I'm getting it down, having that habit tracker going, but then you maybe skip a day, it's okay. It's okay if
Yeah.
you skip a day. It's still a blank page that you can come to next day, and you're not wasting a whole journal. You're not wasting your money on something. So that was something. I was buying all these planners and really, really trying, and they just weren't laid out in a way that was effective for me. But my therapist, she mailed me this cute little thing to my house, and she said, "Here, this will help for your time management skills." And then I was writing it in my own journal every day.
Mm-hmm.
and I was writing the top 3, but I was finding it was taking me more time to prep this in my own blank journal. And I wasn't doing my whole task list. So then I was like, how can I do this where I have it every single day? So I made a journal. And now whenever I want to buy it, I can just buy it for myself.
That's incredible. I also I can relate to that, like having a planner and then, missing a day, or even like using like, apps and other technology that are, geared towards there. I think there's this whole like industry, I think, of productivity tools that
Mm,
are like marketed to neurotypical people.
mm,
And I think that the way that they're set up really creates this environment for like folks who aren't neurotypical, who aren't able to, keep up with a daily task list or a daily journal or, whatever that might be, to like get in our heads about it. And, it can produce senses of like guilt and shame, which is, I think, just counterproductive to, wanting to be productive. Because I know when I'm feeling guilty or shaming myself or shoulding myself, so to speak, I'm way less productive. Like I can't get things done because I have this nagging feeling in the back of my head. I call them, and this is Brene Brown has coined this term, shame gremlins.
shame gremlins. Interesting.
So
I've heard that name, Brene Brown.
yeah, she's incredible. We can talk.
Yeah. I'll have to look her up.
But these shame gremlins are in the back of my head constantly, and it makes it difficult for me to like actually sit down and focus and get things done, because I'm like, well, I wasn't productive yesterday, and am I going to even be able to be productive today? Am I going to accomplish X, Y, and Z? And I also think that a lot of that is fueled by like hustle culture and this idea that we have that we constantly have to be um, like hustling and trying to make more money and trying to advance our careers or get more education and be more,
I'm
like
guilty of that.
productive.
I'm
Yeah.
guilty of it too. Even though I advocate for it, I still fall into it because it's in our faces every single day. Every single day. Yeah. You said something earlier that I really like, this balance between grief and gratitude. And I like the way you worded that. That was really nice. Another big part of the journal is in the morning you do the task list of you breaking it down into small, tangible tasks. Nothing with multi steps, because then it's just going to take longer. But the end of the day is a gratitude page. So listing the top 3 things that you're grateful for, but also listing things that you can improve on. Listing things without being hard on yourself. What with go with grace, because that's usually the hardest part, is doing it so you're not shaming yourself. But I liked how you said that balancing grief with gratitude is good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. I find I have to do that in various arenas of my life. I think, life is bitter and sweet. And Carol King said it best: you got to take the bitter with the sweet. But balancing those two things is something I find myself kind of trying to come back to quite a bit.
It's definitely hard, for sure, to be grateful.
Yeah. Um, so I love your the whole layout, I think, of what
I
you're
wish I
talking
brought
about
it
here.
with me. I didn't even think to bring it with me today.
No, it's okay. When this podcast episode goes up, I'll put a link in the description so folks can go and check it out and support you. Because I mean, I think it's incredible. I love the idea of not being confined by dates. I think that just even removing that visual stimuli of seeing a date and all of the things I think that come up with having to be productive and lay out your day and not leave yourself a minute to spare. It's just like it. I don't know. That just feels like, oh, it'd be nice.
Yeah, and my favorite part is writing down the things that I need to do, but I know I'm not going to get it done in that day. But it's just that, even writing it out, even though I know it's unlikely, but I will try. I could try. It's that mindset of, okay, I'll get to it tomorrow, as long as I get the most critical things done. I can work on this another day, and it alleviates that shame feeling for me, at least when I use it.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. I also think that like there is such power in writing something down and giving it a place to live that is not swirling around in the ADHD tornado that is constantly my mind. So when I write things down, I mean, I'm a post-it note fiend, so I
Me.
write things down on post-it notes a lot. So I'm like, okay, it's living somewhere. I will come back to this. And this is not for right here, right now. And I think that I feel like there's more power in that than folks realize, especially for folks who aren't neurotypical or who are struggling with ADHD and attention and focus that um, when we find ourselves constantly swirling back to the same task, to the same idea, to the same follow up email that needs to get sent, it takes away from experiencing the rest of life. It takes away from experiencing the joy and the beauty that is around us because of where our attention and focus is going.
For sure, for sure. And it stems into as well, like we're so focused on getting something done or just thinking about what we need to do. And that ADHD tornado that you explained is another great analogy. But finding a way to soothe yourself through that so that way you're not shaming yourself is so important. It's so important to just practice that mindfulness because that brain is just going to do what it wants to do. It's going to take your thoughts where they want to go, and practicing that mindfulness is hard. Is easier said than done for sure. It takes
Yes.
practice.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight.
No, absolutely not. So aside from this like structure and what you've created for yourself and for others, honestly, to like use, are there other things like systems and tools that you feel like have been really helpful for you? Some that you've tried that you're like, this ain't it.
Yeah. Uh, when I'm doing homework, when I have a huge to-do list and maybe like there's some days where I've got a final and I've got 1,200 words to write and I really can't do any of the things on my list other than that. Taking lots of breaks.
Mhm.
Take lots of breaks. Do 10 minutes and take a 2-minute break. Go walk up and down the stairs. Go walk around the block real quick. Just take the breaks that you need to and come back. Do the work first and then reward yourself for that time and what you've just accomplished in that 10-minute, 20-minute, 25-minute, whatever span that you can, hustle mode that you can give yourself. Reward that time with a sufficient amount of break time as well, because if you're just in go mode, you're never going to know how to pace yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's something too that I know that I use, especially on days where I know that I have a lot of commitments and I'm trying to uh, put my attention and focus on those things and only those things, especially if it's something big, like you said, like trying to get paper done or final or something. And something like even, I've talked about this with my partner who also has ADHD.
Oh, fun.
Our household
I can
is
imagine.
blissful chaos, I would say.
But you know where
But
everything is.
yeah, and I love the way that we like complement each other. Our ADHDs play nicely together.
That's good.
So that's been fun. But she uses the Pomodoro method, which is the you know 20 minutes on, 5-minute break. Like you can split it up.
That's what it's called. I didn't even know what I was doing was called that.
Yeah. See, there's a name and a method
For
to
everything.
the madness.
We'll have to write that down after.
Yeah, there's all kinds of timers too that are available that you can download, like Pomodoro timers.
I use a YouTube video for a visual timer. The visual timer will help me because that way I can just see the red getting smaller, smaller, smaller. And I'm like, oh, okay, hurry up.
And sometimes I feel like that's helpful too, because I think like when I have that visual like stimulus that kind of like communicates like, okay, it's crunch time. Like I perform well under pressure. I think like procrastination has always been something that I've struggled with, but I would say that sometimes it helps me play to my strengths in a bit.
Yeah.
To like I will give myself like false deadlines. And like that is something that like I almost have to like trick myself or create things that will like gamify my life to make it exciting and engaging.
Yes, my boyfriend, so I'll trick myself with the time because time management has always been a huge, huge problem for me. Right out of high school, I started working right away. I didn't go to college. I didn't start college for my bachelor's degree until 2017, I think it was. Whatever, 4 years ago was. And I was always late for work. Late for work, notoriously. Everyone that I worked with was like, "Oh, well, look at the time. You made it." And it just became an ongoing joke, but it did affect me professionally. It limited me for a lot of my hours and availability. Like, "Oh, well, you can't make it here for 8:30 because you never make it for 9, so you're not going to be able to take that shift." So things like that would happen. So I started changing all the times in the stove, the microwave, to be like 10 minutes earlier to what it's supposed to be. And my boyfriend hates it. And I'm like, but we're not late. So what are you mad about?
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the CT Support Group podcast. Special shout out to Emily for such a fun conversation. I had a really good time. If you want to learn more about her work, check out the links in the episode description. Don't forget to tune in next week for part 2. We'll see you then.